Hello everybody and welcome. Today I am with Barbara McCann here, and Barbara's story deals with the Magdalene Institutions, but her story differs from the previous ones we did in that Barbara's story is not about what happened inside the Magdalene Institution. Barbara's story is more about the difficulty she has had in trying to locate and being allowed to contact her nearest of kin, her natural family. You're very welcome, Barbara. Thank you for joining us. Now, let's start at the beginning. You were born in Marionvale in 1962, and your mother's name was scored out in the records.
Well, she's her
name was Margaret Jane Quinn. And what else does this tell us about her?
Well,
so your mother passed before you met. You never met your mother.
Never met her. No.
You were not allowed to meet her, or you weren't given information?
I had tried for over 30 years.
To locate your birth mother?
Locate my birth mother through social services, through family care, and through a private investigator.
And you never succeeded?
And I didn't succeed, but near the very end in 2020, family care, I went back to them again, and they were able to get an address for her.
Okay. Now let's go back to Marionvale. Your mother was taken into Marionvale on the 1st of June 1962. Her name was Margaret Jane Quinn. You don't know who she was brought there by because you've no record of that. Nobody could tell you that.
Doesn't tell you in the book.
It doesn't tell you. Okay. And you were born in Marionvale, not in Daisy Hill. You were born in Marionvale at 32 weeks. Isn't that right?
Yes.
You were then transferred to Daisy Hill. And your mother was discharged 22nd of June and brought back to Marionvale.
Yeah.
Okay, but you were kept on until the 12th of August.
Yes.
Probably because you were premature, you needed hospital
treatment.
I don't know.
I don't have medical access.
So then you were brought back to Marionvale. When you went back, you had with her until the 5th of October.
Yes.
And then you both left.
Yes.
The same date, but you didn't both go the same way. You were separated.
Yes.
You were taken to St. Joseph's Mother and Baby Home, Ravenshill Road in Belfast, the Naja sisters. And the same date your mother was sent by boat, by her family, to England.
Yes. Sent to her sister.
Yeah. And you were her second baby.
Yes, I was her second baby.
And you didn't find out about about your brother until when?
Until after I'd heard that her birth mother had died. The family care had the address, and they sent a letter out to the address to say that somebody was interested in, could be related to you, or whatever way they word it. But they only sent 2 letters out. So they sent one out in October, and they were going to send the other one after Christmas. But with COVID and the way things were, they thought, we'll just check with our investigator and check they've got the right address, just to see was there anything up. And obviously they got back to them, and she died in November. She died in a hospice, so I don't know whether
that's all
she ever got that, whether she ever got that letter that I was interested in finding her. I don't know. I never know that.
You were adopted to a very loving family with a good life, hadn't you?
Yes.
And they always told you earlier on that you were adopted.
I always
so
knew
you
I was
knew
adopted.
That.
Yeah.
And tell us about what happened when it came to stage you were getting married. How did things start to unfold then when you came to get married?
Well, it was there hadn't been a problem when you were in school and everything, because you had they had your baptism lines, and they had your first communion lines, and they had their confirmation lines. So they had all those. But when it came to getting married, our parish priest was a real stickler for having things just right. And the copy that I would have had, like this type of copy, wasn't good enough for him. He wanted an updated copy.
Okay.
So I had to say to my adopted mum, how am I going to get this? And she had to go back through solicitors to get an updated version.
Okay.
And when I was opening wedding invitations, I opened this envelope thinking it was a wedding invitation. 1 page stayed in my hand, 1 page fell to the floor. 1 page had Barbara Ann McGlade, which was my adopted name, on it, and said I was christened the 18th of June, 1962. That was all what I knew. The other page said Deirdre Quinn
Oh,
and said that my mother was Margaret Jane Quinn, 18th of June 1962. So that one piece of paper told me my name I was christened when I was born, which I didn't know, and the name of my birth mum that I didn't know. So I didn't find that out until 1985. I was born in 1962.
oh, Barbara.
So I then spent the next few years trying to find out whatever I could, anything about it, to try and find out, where was this parish? Where was this? Well, this was Newry. Oh, there must be a mother and baby home in Newry. I tried for years to try and find where the mother and baby home was in Newry, but of course I couldn't find it, because at that stage, you were talking the late 80s, early 90s, and it had changed hands and it had changed name.
Mm-hmm. Sister Concilio?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know. So that was one of the first brick walls, you know.
You have lots of documents here, Barbara.
Mhm.
Walk us through some of them, please.
Well, I went back after. I was always curious and tried to find out where I was from. You know, where
Course,
was
it's
this?
natural.
With the births,
And you're
baptism
entitled to find
rites.
that out, and you're entitled
I
to know
wanted
that.
to know, had to know. And I wanted to get my birth certificate, and I called into Chichester Street in Belfast.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very nice, but they said, no, you're adopted, you can't get your birth certificate.
That's the record of birth, marriage, and
Yeah.
death, isn't it? Yes.
Well, it used to be in Chichester Street in
Chester
Belfast.
Street, yes.
And they said, no, you can't get this. You have to go through social services. This stage was 1995, 1996. So I went through social services. They made me go through their counselling for 6 weeks. They made me write a letter to my birth mum and read it to an empty chair. And then when I jumped through all their hoops, they said, we will apply for your birth file. So they applied for my birth file and they read it and they came up with this letter, which I got on the 30th of December 1996. Now, remember, I was born in 1962.
Mm-hmm.
So I only got, at that stage, I found out that I was only 3 pounds, 4 ounces at birth, and that I was born in the mother and baby home and transferred to Daisy Hill Hospital and stayed there to the 12th of August. And then returned to Marianvale. Okay. My birth mum, Margaret, said they had arrangements to go to England where she hoped to pursue a career in nursing. That's what they determined from the file. Whether that was true or not, I don't know. She'd arranged for you to stay with friends of hers, but when their home was assessed, it was considered unsuitable due to a lack of space. Then it states how she was concerned that I was placed with a suitable home and wrote from England expressing these concerns. At one stage, Margaret had hoped to be able to take me as a baby because she'd met a new boyfriend who agreed to care for you, but they didn't marry. However, this didn't materialise, and Margaret agreed eventually that adoption was her only option. It was arranged she were to go to live with the McGlades on the 22nd of October 1962, when I was 4 months old.
And you had a happy life with them.
I had a happy life with them. The adoption didn't come through until October 63.
63.
Because what they didn't really say there was that Margaret, she asked for reassurances to be placed with a good home. So she wanted her own investigation before she would sign anything.
And here's a later home report.
Yeah, this is terrible. A later home report said this infant was a premature baby and was very puny, and placement and her health is still causing concern at times. Recently, she spent a period in hospital with bronchial pneumonia, from which she was convalescing on the day of the visit. That was April 1963. At that stage, I'd been transferred. It was in Dundonald Hospital.
Yes, okay.
She receives excellent physical care and loving attention from both parents. Margaret again wrote from England prior to giving her final consent to your adoption. She asked for reassurance that you've been placed with a good home, and on receipt of that, she agreed to sign the necessary form.
Your mother married in England.
Wanted to know what happened to her, because that's all they give me. Of course. I wanted to know what happened.
Yeah.
And they said that they don't go into that type of thing. But they give me the name of what they called a private investigator firm.
Yes.
And I went to them. They were at that stage called the Irish Adoption Research.
Okay.
So I had to go through social services for them. So to get any information or for him to find out any information, it was £30 in postal orders each time. But I didn't have good direct contact with him. It went through the social worker in the Belfast Trust.
Okay. Okay.
So he was able to say that she'd gone to England when she went to England, that yes, she'd stayed with her sister. Yes, she did that. She met this guy. She married this guy. And a couple of years later, she had one boy. And then a couple of years after that, she had another boy.
So you have two half
So I had
siblings.
2 half siblings. Now, I knew about that.
Through this.
Yes. By 2001.
Okay.
I went back to family care because they had a brick wall here. They tried to get,
Yes.
they couldn't find an address, they couldn't do whatever. I went back to family care again, and they weren't really much good. I went back to family care a few times, and the family care have the Good Shepherd records because they took them from there. So they then said, "Oh, well,
Good Shepherds, that's Marionvale. Good Shepherds, yes.
And they said, "We whatever you call it, we will we will send you what we have, what we have on you." And they sent me out a letter, or they sent me out a thing, a birth notice. And the first thing they had was that I was born in Daisy Hill Hospital. They got my birth weight right, but they'd written I was born in Daisy Hill.
That your birth rate was 3.25 pounds.
Yes, which I knew. But they got me born in Daisy Hill. And I went, no, I wasn't born in Daisy Hill. I was born in Marionvale.
You were born in Marionvale.
And they go, but nobody was born in Marionvale. People were all transferred over to Daisy Hill for delivery. And I said, well, I arrived at 4:00 in the morning and was christened and then sent to Daisy Hill. So they argued a bit with me with that. And I said, how do you know this information? And I said, I know this information because I have got it in a letter from Social Services in Belfast, which I got in 1996. And they were going, right, okay. So they went and did their research and checked. But I was able, because I had paperwork with me and I had the research letters with me, they took my information of her getting married and having having the 2 boys. They took that and photocopied that and put that on their file. Now, at that stage, they knew that I had an older brother. He had been in touch with family care, trying to find out more of what was happening.
Right.
They didn't tell him about me. They didn't tell either of us.
So you know your elder half-brother. You've met him since, yeah.
Yes, I have.
And you have a good relationship with him?
I have a good relationship, and I have a photograph here of him.
Right.
Of the 2 of us. It was taken last Easter when I went over to see him. So, and I got that copied and sent him a wee tile as well. So.
Okay. Barbara, what about the 2 younger half-brothers? What's the story?
The 2 younger brothers, when I went back to family care after getting this sort of, I said, look, we want to know about our 2 half-brothers because they are both our half-brothers. And it's been over 60 years before we knew about each other. We want to know more about these ones. And they point blank refused and said, no, no, you can't find anything out because her husband is still alive. And he might know. And I said, but a letter was sent out to the house. So somebody will know.
Do you accept that the fact that he might know, it might be an awful shock to him?
Oh, yes, I do understand that. But at this stage,
you can't accept that.
It's more important.
Yeah, it is.
It's more important.
Yeah.
With the 2 of us finding each other.
Yes.
After
and he knows too that he has 2 younger brothers.
He does
as well.
because I told him.
You told him. Only because you told him.
Only because I told him. Family care didn't tell him. I mean, I give information to family care that I'd done the research for. Family care didn't give me, and the information I got from family care was wrong.
You've come up against brick walls, haven't you? And red tape.
Yes.
And now you have been forbidden to contact your 2 younger brothers. Do you know where they are?
I think they're in England.
But that's all you know?
That's all I know.
You don't know their names or anything?
Oh yes, I
You
know
know
their
their
names
names?
and when they were born.
When they were born.
Because I give that all
Well,
information all the family care.
and you're not allowed to contact
No.
them.
I give all
Who
that
has
family
forbidden
care.
you to contact? Who has said that to you?
Family care.
On the grounds that your mother's husband is still alive?
Is still alive. And he mightn't know, so we can't pursue them.
How do you feel about that, Barbara? Angry?
Just another brick wall.
Where do you go from here?
I don't give up. I don't give up.
So where's your next step? What's your next direction?
Um,
Back to family care? They're not much use to you, are they?
No. I've contacted Adopt NI
And
to see if they can try and find out any other bits, because we have, both myself and my brother, because we can't do anything about about our younger brothers at the minute. We want to try and find out about our wider family.
yes,
We know that our birth mum was from a big family, so we are bound to have
where are
cousins
they?
and
Yeah.
nieces and nephews and all sorts about. So we're getting to try and find that down that line to see if they can find anything that way.
Oh dear.
Because we can't do anything about it. It's at the
Do you
minute we
think your
can't do
two
anything that
younger
way.
half brothers know about you? No, they
No.
don't know either.
No, I would say not.
But you don't know.
I don't know. See, they could very
They
well
could be looking
know.
for you, yeah. They
could well know.
It's just
And
maybe
their
the
mum,
husband, their father, they're trying
he
to.
might know too, but
He might know as
they
well. You don't,
I
yeah.
don't know. I mean, I did get a copy of her her birth certificate, my big brother's birth certificate, which I have. I have a copy of her marriage certificate,
Mm-hmm. And that's it.
I have the dates of birth when the boys were born. I couldn't afford, because every time we were trying to get something, it was another £30, and I was bringing my 3 up, and it just was too
Money,
much.
money.
Yeah. My daughter found her death notice, and there was a
Your
photograph
daughter
of her.
found
My
her
daughter
death
found her
notice?
death notice, because I've known her married name, you see, as well.
Right, okay.
When she was
Where did she
married,
find the death notice? In the paper?
Online.
Online. Your daughter found
My
that?
daughter found that, so she found that online and found a photograph. So
you know what she looked
know
like?
what she looked like. So I again took a copy of the photograph with me when I went over to see my big brother, because he would have been in the same situation as me. He'd never, hadn't seen a photograph of her. So we have the same information. I have, the same photographs and the same bits and pieces.
There has to be some accountability here. Who is to blame for all of this? Who do you hold responsible, Barbara?
The authorities, whether they were, and I don't think it was just the nuns and the priests and the things. I do think family had a lot to do. I think society had a lot to do. I think
the shame and stigma attached
everything
to being in Marionville,
yes. The fact that this was this girl's second baby that she was having out of wedlock. So, and he was adopted from the mother and baby home that I was, St. Joseph, so on the Ravenhill.
In the Nather Sisters,
Belfast,
yes.
Nather Sisters. So they knew that when she went in. So what terrible time did that poor girl have from the 1st of June to having me when she was in there less than 3 weeks? Having me so early.
That often worries you. What terrible time did she go through, yes.
And what worries me as well was she got out on the 22nd of June.
Yes.
And I wasn't there again with her until the 12th of August. Not that you would be with them, because my understanding is they were given a set time to feed you. You had to feed them, and if you took the feed, fair enough. If you didn't, you starved, and that was the way it was. But from that length of time, because she wouldn't have had the baby to go and feed every so often, you would have given her an even worse time.
Yes.
Definitely. But with not being able to meet her, to talk to her, to see her, to find out exactly what...
Because she's the only one who knows the whole story.
She's the only one who knows the whole story.
You were denied access to that.
That's the only part of her story that I can say. Is that, she obviously had a hard time. I mean, and then I was lucky enough I survived, but how many babies were born to
and you're
mothers?
only 2.25 pounds.
3.25 pounds.
3.25 pounds.
3.25.
That's why you were kept in Daisy Hill, because you were.
Yeah.
But I find it very sad that both yourself and your mother left Marion on the same date, and she went one way and you were taken the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
I don't know who took me to the mother and baby home. I don't know whether it was my birth mum and her mum, because her mum took her from Marionville. I don't know whether they left me up or whether it was, nun, social worker,
But
cleaner.
your
I don't know.
adoptive parents, they went there to collect you, did they?
Yes.
But you don't know how you got there, who brought you there.
I don't know who got me there, who brought me there. They had adopted, my adopted parents had adopted a wee girl a few years earlier from there.
You have a wee half sister there. Adopted sister.
Adopted sister, an older adopted sister.
And are you good friends with her, good terms with her?
Chalk and cheese would be good.
Chalk and cheese,
good description.
Yes.
Just completely different people, completely different stories, brought up different ways. Just really different. But they had adopted her, and then they were looking for a baby a couple of years later, and there wasn't really many about at that time or whatever. So then, I remember my adopted mum saying that sister, she didn't say sister who, but just sister phoned her and said, "We've got a few babies at the minute." So that's how I arrived.
Like I said in the beginning, Barbara, your story is different from the other Magdalene women we've talked to. Theirs is about the suffering inside. Yours is not about that. Yours is about the red tape and the brick walls you have come across, you've been faced with, in just simply trying to find out information that you are entitled to know. Now, how has that affected your life, Barbara? And you have your own daughter.
I have three children.
3 children.
And
has that passed down to them? How has that affected them?
I think the way I brought my kids up is different. And
in what way, Barbara?
We're more open to a lot of people and a lot of things. There's a few of their close friends who I would just say their family.
You've told them all about this, haven't you?
Yes,
they know.
Their family.
And your husband knows all about this, yes. Yeah.
And the first husband knew all about it.
Okay.
And helped me try to find where their baby home was and stuff like that. And there's no, I've never been backwards and coming forwards.
But even though you're coming forward, you're still not getting anywhere.
I'm not getting anywhere, no. I am, but very, very slowly. I mean, it takes 40 years from getting the baptism line for the wedding. That's 1985. This is 2005.
And that blockage is where, Barbara? That blockage is where? Everywhere.
Everywhere. It's just red tape.
All from the authorities coming down.
Red tape. Yeah.
And from the church.
Yes, I would say from the church as well, yes. Because they weren't coming forward in a lot of things. It's interesting how they don't give information, and then information I've heard from other people how they were told their files had been mysterious in a fire, and then some things have turned up. And then when I got information years and years later to get the actual entry into the book, and when the social worker said to me, "Oh, do you know any of those things?" And I went, "Well, there's a couple of things I can fill in the gaps with." Because when I got my birth mum's, Margaret's birth certificate,
Jane Quinn,
it tells you her parents.
Okay.
So I now can fill in her parents' names.
Okay.
So I have that bit.
Yeah.
And then there's how she was sent to her sister in England, and that was an address. I have the sister's name because of the research done with a researcher.
Yep.
So, but the only thing I can't piece together is who brought them down. I can't, otherwise.
And somebody somewhere knows that.
Somebody knows that. And it's written on the original thing. You can see how that's typexed out.
Brought down by typexed out, and then something director there. Director, doesn't it?
Director of what? Is it a business? Is it a... Don't know. As I say, I could fill in it, because when she said this, whatever, and I said, okay, I know it's such and such. And it was the look of horror in her face. How do you know this? And I said, well, I had been doing research for nearly 40 years before they bought this other thing in. So it's just like a mystery. But it's not
a
fair.
mystery which some people know about and some people can solve, but they just don't do it.
Yes.
It's very hard to believe that in this day and age, Barbara, that this is still going on, isn't it?
Oh, it very much still is going on.
Yeah, but it's very hard to believe that. It's only people like you who know about it that know about it. The fact that there's information out there that you're entitled to, and your life has been deeply affected by the lack of that information.
Yeah.
And yet they're still withholding it.
Yes.
And I suppose every time you contact them or connect with them, somebody else different comes in, and you start the whole rigmarole on again. You're just shoved off again.
You start somebody. Yeah.
Nobody held accountable for this.
No, nobody seems to be held accountable for anything.
The unfairness of it all, and
but there's still in society here, it's still very close. You don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Because when we had the Truth and Recovery thing, the thing in Stormont in 2021, October 2021.
Right. Okay.
When they're releasing the first report that there should be a public inquiry.
Yes.
I was involved in that with the group. And then I did a wee small interview thing, and I had a picture I brought with me that day. It was a picture. I had it on a card. I don't know what I've done with it. A picture of my mum. My daughter could probably get me it again.
Yep.
But I don't know where it is at the minute. And I had that with me, so I just said a few lines. And I work in a school, and I had 5 different people from different areas in the school coming up to me and saying, that was really well done. That was really, I'm glad you did that. I have such and such. And opening up to me because they had never opened up to other people.
See, once one person opens up, other people then follow. So you're guiding other people to, and you need to open up in order to deal with this. You can't.
Because you're not by yourself.
No.
It's not. And the first
but you
time,
think you are until
and
you're
the first time somebody says no, don't take it. Don't take it.
So that's your advice. Keep going. Don't give up. Yes.
Don't give up. Try and find a different way around. As I say, we've hit a brick wall at the minute, both myself and my brother, in trying to trace our younger brothers.
Yeah.
So we're taking a different slant at the minute. We're trying to see if we can find any other parts of cousins or things like that. And then we'll go back to the other again. But sometimes you have to keep changing tack for what you're looking for.
Yeah.
To build
and that's your main message. Anybody looking for information, because somebody out there has the information.
Yes.
You've just got to find them and make them talk.
Yes, but for some reason, I don't know why, the society here is still very much shh.
Yeah, they're much more open down south of Ireland at the moment, aren't they? There's much more coming out.
Still very, very much.
Yeah. Because all the other interviews we did were down south, apart from Adele's, and that's because people are more willing to come forward down south than they are up here. It's still very much shame and stigma up here.
Yes.
Why do you think that is, Barbara?
I think in a lot of ways up here is more straight-laced. I mean, I know down south was under the power of the Catholic Church for decades and decades and decades, from the state really started. But there's more influences up here. They're more judgy up here.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, because there's so many churches up here and there's so many judginesses, you get, like the Catholic Church is always going to be judged by the different Protestant churches, but they're all being judged by themselves and each other, which means everybody's closing it. I mean, this is across the board. It's not just the Catholic Church.
No, it's not just the Catholic Church.
It really isn't.
Other institutions, other societies,
and
all of this.
Everything else. And it's just, keep it closed. Don't let anybody know. Don't tell anybody.
You're an amazing woman, Barbara, to be able to cope with all this and to keep going and not to give up the fight.
I'm stubborn.
You're stubborn. That's a good trait in this.
I think it is, yes. Yes. And my kids are equally stubborn, which means if I don't find out all the answers or I don't get to the bottom of these, they will. Because it's to do with them.
Can I ask you one personal question? How did you feel when you saw the picture of your mother first, that never having known her?
Oh, it was lovely.
It was lovely.
It was lovely. I can see me in somebody.
Can you? Mini me, yes.
Yeah. Which is really, really funny. And then when I went to see my brother, it was the same.
You see your mother in your brother as well. There are some lovely aspects of it, aren't there?
Oh, there really are.
Yeah,
But
and some lovely points, but it's just the horror of it all. That's,
there's no reason, there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, if somebody knows that somebody has other siblings,
yes,
tell them. It's up to them then to go back to you and go, we would like you to try and contact them for us or
you're
whatever.
entitled to know
But
that, aren't
just to
you?
know that.
And to be allowed to contact them. Not
Yeah.
you're forbidden to contact them.
Well, how I got in touch with my brother was through family care, because they told me about him after her mum had died, and then I had to write them a letter. Again, they love you writing letters.
So
I had to write them a letter.
everything's on files.
And then he had to write me a letter, and that went through social services. I sent the letter to them. They photocopied it or whatever they did and sent it, or typed it, I think, and then sent it to him. And then he sent one to them. They typed it out and sent it to me. So you don't want to see somebody's writing. So they did this type of thing, and then it was, we could send a photograph for the next letter. So I sent a letter with a photograph, and then they took the photograph, kept the photograph, photocopied it and sent him the photocopy of the photograph, and then he did the same with me. And then the next stage was, because he was in England and I was here, it was but he was brought up in Northern Ireland. He just went to England for work in the end of the 80s, I think.
He was adopted too. Did he have a happy life with his adopted family?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he wasn't told about me. But he was brought up as an only child. And as he said, there's all these years we could have.
You lost a lot of years there.
Yeah.
A lot of years. It's the lack of accountability that really is the, you know what I mean, and who to pinpoint.
But I do think they felt they were doing me a favour telling me about him after our birth mum had died. I really do think the social worker thought, well, I'll cheer her up here, I'll tell her this. When that should have been told to me years earlier. Years
earlier, yeah. Barbara, your story is harrowing and very, 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 very sad. But as I said, there are some happy points in there. And no doubt with your spirit, you will keep going till you get to the bottom of this. You'll find it, you will. You'll find it, you will, Barbara. You will. You're great.
Just like that.
You're great.
It's too important.
It's too important. And your life's been affected by it in so many ways.
Yes.
And your children.
Yes. And without it, ways you don't even think of. Ways I never thought of. Until
it happened.
Meeting with the likes of Adele and different ones who are in different groups, and you're like, all right, enough. Oh, is that not the way people think? All right, okay. Is that not the way you're meant to do?
And that's the good thing about it. The more people come out and talk, the better it is for everybody involved.
That's why I'm doing this, to help encourage somebody.
Yes.
It is scary taking the first step, but you just do what you can, and don't take no for an answer.
Well, you've done everything you can. You're still going on.
Oh, yes.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
No problem at all.
I know it'll help a lot of people, Barbara.
I hope it does. Because it's not fair on people, keeping everything all closed in.
It's the unfairness of the lack of justice, yes.
A baby is, a baby's
It's not a commodity. It's not a commodity.
A baby's wonderful. A baby's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching. And until we meet again, namaste.